The morning of April 28th began as any other in the picturesque region of Rio Grande do Sul, but its serenity was deceptive. At exactly 10:03 a.m., after days of relentless rainfall, the São Francisco Dam greeted its inevitable demise. Water, with its patient erosive power, had finally breached the aging barriers meant to contain it. The floodgates of chaos opened, and within minutes towns downstream were caught in a deadly embrace with the rising waters. The aerial footage post-collapse painted a stark picture of devastation, a once robust structure now eerily absent, leaving behind an angry, untamed river gushing through broken defenses. The cascading water laden with debris and sorrow carved a path of destruction through communities that had little time to brace for impact. The seismic-like shudder that ran through the region wasn't just physical, it was deeply emotional. Residents grappled with the immediate reality of lost homes, livelihoods, and loved ones. The stories of survival and the scenes of loss laid bare the depth of human vulnerability in the face of such an overpowering elemental force. The São Francisco Dam, constructed in 1984, was an emblem of Brazil's ambitious plans to harness nature for human benefit. Initially, it supported agricultural expansion and provided flood control and hydroelectric power, seemingly epitomizing progress. Yet, the seeds of tragedy were sown in the compromise between economic gain and environmental oversight. Before the disaster, the dam stood as a testimony to what can be achieved when nature is bent to serve human needs. But beneath the surface, the dam bore the brunt of decades of neglect and insufficient updates to its safety features, a common story in many aging infrastructures across the globe. Expert analyses post-collapse revealed a sobering reality. The disaster was foreseeable. Warning signs like unusual seepage, structural cracks, and local ecological changes were often dismissed or inadequately addressed. The collapse, therefore, is not merely a tale of natural disaster but also one of human error, a failure to act on the known risks aging infrastructures pose. Climate science has been clear and consistent in its warnings. Expect more extreme weather events as global temperatures rise. In the case of Rio Grande do Sul, the dam collapse was precipitated by unseasonably heavy rainfall, one of the many symptoms of a warming planet. This graph illustrates not just an anomaly, but a new alarming trend. Regions around the world are experiencing similar shifts in weather patterns, making the old infrastructure and old predictions obsolete. The changing climate is rewriting the rules, challenging existing systems, and demanding a re-evaluation of our preparedness measures. In light of these changes, the São Francisco Dam's collapse serves as a case study of what happens when infrastructure fails to evolve in concert with changing environmental baselines. It highlights a critical need for updated, climate-informed engineering standards, not just in Brazil, but worldwide. In the aftermath of the flood, the resilience of the human spirit was tested as communities embarked on the painful journey of rebuilding. Survivor accounts not only told tales of horror and escape, but also of heroic rescues and communal solidarity. However, the toll was undeniable. Thousands displaced, hundreds missing, and an indeterminate number of fatalities. Amidst the ruins, a mosaic of human endeavor emerged. Volunteers from around the nation poured into the affected areas, bringing with them the needed supplies and a spirit of kinship. These efforts were a silver lining, showcasing the best of humanity in response to a cataclysmic event. Yet, the road to recovery is fraught with challenges. Families who have lost everything are facing the daunting task of starting over, often with little to no support. The disaster raised critical questions about the adequacy of governmental aid and the long-term strategies required to support such devastated communities. The response to the dam collapse was a multifaceted operation involving local, national, and international agencies. Immediately following the disaster, emergency teams were deployed with the dual aims of rescuing trapped individuals and providing immediate relief to survivors. Images of helicopters hovering over inundated areas and rescue teams navigating through debris-filled waters became symbolic of the intense rescue efforts. Yet, the scale of the disaster overwhelmed initial response capabilities, exposing gaps in disaster readiness and coordination. Investigation into the response phase revealed a critical need for improved emergency infrastructure and more robust communication systems. The chaotic nature of the information flow in the first crucial hours potentially cost lives, underlining the importance of efficient disaster management protocols. In the wake of the disaster, scrutiny has intensified around Brazil's environmental policies and safety regulations for infrastructure. Questions are being raised about how a known risk was allowed to escalate into a catastrophe of such magnitude. Debates in legislative chambers and public forums have focused on the effectiveness of existing laws and the enforcement thereof. Critics argue that lax enforcement and regulatory loopholes have contributed to a culture of complacency and cost-cutting at the expense of safety. The tragedy in Rio Grande do Sul has catalyzed a nationwide reassessment of dam safety protocols and environmental regulations. There is a growing demand for stringent, enforceable standards that ensure both human safety and ecological preservation. The collapse of the São Francisco Dam is not just a national issue for Brazil, it is a stark warning for the world. This disaster underscores the urgent need for global cooperation on climate adaptation and infrastructure resilience. Leaders from various nations gathered recently to discuss the implications of the Brazilian disaster, reflecting a collective realization of our shared vulnerabilities. The conference highlighted the necessity for an international framework that promotes knowledge sharing, technology transfer, and financial support to enhance global resilience against climate-induced disasters. As nations around the world grapple with similar challenges, Brazil's experience serves as a crucial lesson in the importance of foresight, preparation, and the will to act decisively in the face of impending environmental challenges. Our path forward from this tragedy lies in embracing a holistic approach to community resilience. This means integrating climate science into urban planning, reinforcing critical infrastructure, and cultivating a culture of preparedness among populations. At community meetings like the one shown here, residents and officials are coming together to reimagine their future. These forums are essential spaces for dialogue, where community-specific strategies and innovations can be discussed and implemented. The ultimate goal is not just to rebuild what was lost, but to create systems and societies that are adaptable, resilient, and in harmony with the Earth's ecological limits. As we continue to navigate the complexities of a changing climate, the lessons learned from the catastrophe in Brazil will undoubtedly shape our collective approach to disaster preparedness and environmental stewardship for generations to come.